and I'm winning the game, a lot of times the child might just decide to change the rules of the game so that I can't win, and the game keeps going on until the child wins. Well, the government's sort of in the same boat. If they've got a vested interest in a particular healthcare plan, then why not create laws that are going to help that healthcare plan, perhaps to the detriment of the other competitors in the industry. So it becomes a little bit trickier to actually create competition when the government or the referees have a vested interest in the outcome of one of the teams. That also is why when I hear people saying that a government's public healthcare plan would be creating more competition, well, actually, it's not creating more competition. It's creating collusion between the referees and the team. So I don't know if you can call that true competition. And of course, the other aspect, and we'll talk about this in another topic, is that the government doesn't actually produce anything in a free market system. The only way the government gets money is to take it in the form of taxes or take out a loan. So when we look at how the government creates money or receives money, this government plan is going to be paid for by the taxpayers. So as a taxpayer, I'm going to have to pay for this plan, and then if I want to choose another plan, I'll have to pay for that too. So there's sort of a double pay that I'm going to be involved in. And that doesn't also increase the likelihood of having a fair playing field for everybody. It's kind of like if I'm for Team A and the government is for Team D, well, I've got to pay a tax to Team D, and it's kind of like having a soccer game where maybe I have to give one of my players to the government team. So all of a sudden it's 10 against 12 instead of 11 against 11. At least from a monetary standpoint, because I'm being taxed just to support this government plan, which I may or may not agree with. Another implication, for example, in the auto industry is I might be paying taxes to support the companies that the government chooses to bail out, and in the meantime, I may not like those cars. I personally have always bought Toyotas, and I don't want to buy an American car, and yet now I'm being forced to pay taxes to these car companies that I don't support anyhow. So there's sort of inherently a tendency towards an inequality in the competition that happens when you've got the government getting involved in running the economy. So that's sort of a basic look. Some of the other, I would think that one of the things to look at also is if the role of government is to apply law fairly to everybody in the private sector, has our government really been doing that? Or have there been any areas where the government has been playing favorites and perhaps causing any of the issues that's happening? For example, if we look at Medicare or Medicaid, well, maybe that's economically not the best solution because it seems to be broke right now, and yet the government continues to have us pay into that system, whereas maybe some private systems are run a little bit better, and we're denied the possibility of putting that money into the private system because it has to go into the public system. So we'll look at that more in depth with some of the other topics that I'm going to talk about. Obviously, in a communist system of government, the referees own everything, so there's really no incentive to win the game. There's no competition at all because whether I win or lose, I'm not the one winning. It's the government who's the one winning. So fortunately, we don't have to deal with that situation too much right now. I would defer to like a study of the Soviet Union to talk more about how a communist economic system works. Mostly just makes sense from a communist point of view that the government controls all the resources, because why would somebody want to, if I'm the one who's controlling the system, why would I want to give all of the production to other people? It's less efficient if the government's meant to manage everything. So the last thing I wanted to talk about was the connection between the free market system and freedom. Our forefathers, when they wrote the Constitution, It was an attempt to guarantee us life, liberty, and the pursuit of freedom, or the pursuit of happiness. Liberty, what the forefathers knew was that I'm not really free if I can't own my own property. So think about it. If I'm busy growing bananas, and every time one gets ripe and I pick it, somebody comes along and takes it away from me, then I'm not really free. I have to continue tending to the land or trying to provide for myself, and so long as I'm stuck doing that, then I don't have the ability to really be free. I'm enslaved to the idea of trying to produce for myself. Meanwhile, somebody else is coming in and stealing it all the time. So the idea of property is inherent in a free country, and in so much as the government might be coming in and taking those bananas away from me, it tends to limit my freedom. So the idea of a free market where all of the products that are created by individuals is actually owned by them is in line with the concept of liberty. And then that becomes blurred as we add government in, perhaps taking some of the fruit of our labor away. So I can see how it would be just that we give up the rights to things that are universally important. So we don't kill other people, for example, and we expect the government to uphold that law because we see the universal importance in that law. So we give up that freedom. So anyhow, I hope this brings a little clarity to, and at least a basis for what we can talk about in terms of free market and a fascist economic solution to different things and a communist economic solution to different aspects of our culture. Thank you.